Another up and down week, it seems, for our Mariners, who cannot really seem to find their footing or consistency. So with that being said, we'll look to their series here, 3-game set to begin their homestand against the Oakland Athletics. So on the 23rd versus the Athletics, a 7-6 win, kind of grinding that out there really close. Player of the game, center fielder Julio Rodriguez, going 2 for 4 with 2 runs and 3 RBIs. The next day, looking to get that series win, unable to do so. A 5-7 loss on the 24th. Player of the game, first baseman Ty France. You'll hear that name a lot today. Going 1 for 3 with 3 RBIs and a walk. So a tough one. I mean, it's a 2-run game. You were close. It's fine. Go back and win the next game, right? As you can see, they didn't do that. They would lose on the 25th in a Wednesday matinee 2-4. Player of the game, once again, Ty France, going 1 for 2 with a run and a walk. So a tough one. I mean, you sit there, and at the time, on the loss of that 25th, you were in the bottom of the division. You were playing Oakland, who is 5th in the division, and then you lose a series to them, which you really cannot afford if you want to be a playoff team, if you want to live up to the expectations set by the franchise and the organization, the front office, all that. You have to win series, and you have to take care of the bad teams. And you didn't do that. I mean, this is an Oakland team that gutted itself. Chapman's gone. Olsen's gone. They traded Chris Bassett. I think Sean Manaea got traded to the Padres. And so it's like, hey, these are teams you should roll over. You can lose one game, but ultimately, like I've been saying, as this season has gone on, you have to win series. And you lost one, and then you were in the cellar of the division. After that game on the 25th, it was like, hey, you have to play Houston now. Houston, top of the division. They found their footing after kind of struggling in the beginning. Did not look good. So we head over to that Houston 3-game set, which began on the 27th. A 6-1 win, which Bel was at. Player of the game that I picked, designated hitter Kyle Lewis, going 1 for 4 with a run and 2 RBIs in this game. So the bats come alive.
They did.
6-1 win. I mean, this is Houston. You think, okay, maybe this is one of those games where the offense is good, they shoot up, and then they falter and lose the series. On the 28th, they would be able to continue that offensive performance, winning that game 6-0. Player of the game, Ty France, once again going 2 for 4 with a run and 2 RBIs. So you win the series against Houston, which is a good thing. You know, you want to, again, as another thing that I've said with this team, if you ultimately want to make a playoff spot or win the division, you're going to have to beat the big bad, which is at this time Houston. How long will the Angels continue their successful run? I really don't know, because they've dismantled themselves in the past. But beating Houston is what matters. And you've beat Houston at home in series now twice, which is good, because also you play all these games against Houston before the All-Star break. So you have to make these count.
Yeah.
You can't flick the switch on later. But this was a win, I would say, in this series. But I will get nitpicky, because with the hole that you've dug yourself into, you have to
Continue
be
to
pretty
win.
damn good.
Yeah.
Yes. So we look at the end of that series there on the 29th, a 1-2 loss on Sunday. Player of the game, first baseman Ty France, going 1 for 3 with 1 RBI, knocking in the only run that the Mariners scored. Now, this was another situation where Seattle left too many guys on base. There was one in the bottom of the 7th where they had runners on 2nd and 3rd with 1 out. Mike Ford and Luis Stearns strike out. Can't have that. Can't even put the ball in play, right? To not, add more runs, give Marco Gonzalez some run support, because Marco didn't have 2 runs in the modern league. I would say is an okay outing. You can live with that, right? Because you hope your offense can sustain you and give you more than 1 run. They didn't do that. And then the bottom of the 9th, you load the bases. Mike Ford draws a walk, and you got 1 out. Luis Stearns comes in and grounds into a double play. You had the bases loaded. It was a golden opportunity. And then because I like to look at the numbers sometimes, I've got information for you with the bases loaded this year for the Seattle Mariners. With no outs and the bases loaded, they've got a walk, a hit, 2 sac flies, and 5 plate appearances. So not bad with no outs, right? With 1 out, 231 average, and 16 plate appearances, which isn't the worst. But with 2 outs, a 63 average, 63, and 16 plate appearances. Obviously, the 2 out numbers are atrocious, but those numbers should all be better.
Yeah.
These runners in scoring position situations have been terrible all year. And that's another thing. That's another layer. If you want to be a successful ball club, those numbers have to change. And you've got the talent on this roster. It's not like we're looking at opening day's roster last year where you've got guys like Sam Haggerty, in the lineup with Jake Fraley's, hitting leadoff. I think, the talent is there. I just wonder, again, this is something that I've been a big sticking point on. How much of this is the coaching staff? Because when Edgar Martinez was the hitting coach, the Mariners were top 10 or top 15 in hits per game and batting average for the time that he was here. As long as he's been gone, they've been the bottom 12 in the league in those categories.
And I think I remember you saying that last week as well.
Yes,
yeah.
It's something has to change. Obviously, you look at the first 2 games of the Houston series, the offense was awake, right? But this is something that I'm really interested to see. Like when I said at the top of the segment, the consistency of this ball club and how much you can keep that going. I don't care if you hit one snag in the road one time and you put up 11 runs against the Astros, and then you lose the next 3 and you put up 3 combined runs. It does not matter. Consistency and just being able to be a good ball club day in and day out. At the end of the day, it's not the end of the world if they don't make the World Series this year, because the front office hyped up playoffs. You're not even reaching that. At this point, you're looking at maybe 3rd in the division, 4th in the division. I wouldn't say you're finished in last, but you've got to turn things around decently quick. So that's my piece on it. So, you lose the series to Oakland, you win a series against Houston, kind of weird there. So we'll head over to Player of the Week. Bell had Julio this week. I want to count how many times we've had Julio
I know.
on Player of the Week.
I know.
But you said something interesting. You said it wasn't because of his stats today.
Well,
why was that?
I guess you could say his stats. It wasn't his weekly stats. It was just, I guess, seeing him continue to grow. 21-year-old rookie, 14 stolen bases on the season, continues that lead. And then in Chuck's blog, I will highlight that he said that he is making his push for AL Rookie of the Month and possibly AL Rookie of the Year. So, I mean, that's huge, but that's also based on statistics on what he's been able to accomplish. So I guess it's somewhat of both.
Yeah, I mean, he's really turned it on. Houston's Jeremy Pena has been really good at short for them, but Julio's catching up. I mean, in F4, he leads in WRC plus hits. I mean, you brought out the stats that I actually wrote down, which is kind of funny. But you got a point. I mean, Julio, and I think I had a tweet about it. In the season that has been as tough as it has to begin, Julio has been just as advertised. There have been prospects that you could say the scouting, the developmental team has ruined in the past. I don't know how much Dustin Ackley, other prospects, whatever. Guys like Julio, you cannot mess up. He is going to be a star, and he has been. So, I mean, do you have any further thought on that?
Thank you for,
Yeah, well, so, hard to go wrong with that. I had Kyle Lewis this week simply because if you know me, Kyle Lewis has always been a favorite of mine, and it's been really great to see him come back and produce as he has. Not the biggest numbers in the world, but in his 15 plate appearances since he's been brought back to the ball club, a 267 average, 2 homers, 3 RBIs, 4 hits, a 313 on base percentage, and a 667 slugging percentage. Kyle's just been a guy that has had a really rocky career to begin with injuries and injuries and just not being able to stay on the field. And so to see him back, to see him producing in this lineup, not yet taking out field play, just kind of being in there as a hitter and being successful in that role. His story is great, and I just hope that they manage that properly because that's something that Scott Service said before one of the games. He's not going to play outfield for a while, but they do want to make sure that he gets out there, and they're going to monitor it as that progresses. So we look over to team-related news here on the 24th. Kyle Lewis returned to the lineup as we're getting to. He was reinstated from the 10-day IL, and as I said, in that DH role, he's going to be there for a while. Scott Service said he won't play in the outfield for a decent amount of time, foreseeable future. On the 25th, right-handed pitcher Adrian Sampson declined his outright assignment to AAA Tacoma and elected free agency. So kind of interesting. He says, "Nah, I'm not going to stay in your organization. I'm out of here."
Yeah.
On the 26th, right-handed pitcher Drew Steckenrider was optioned to AAA Tacoma. So no injury there. Just his play to begin the year has not been. He's taken a definite hit from what he was last year. And then a little bit of a prospect check-in on the 26th as well. Right-handed pitcher Connor Jones threw a 7-inning no-hitter for AA Arkansas the Travelers pitcher raised his scoreless inning streaks to 22. So kind of interesting to see him there, see how the farm's doing with this system. On the 27th, left-handed pitcher Roenis Elias was selected from AAA Tacoma, and right-handed pitcher Riley O'Brien was designated for assignment. So with that being said, excuse me, Bel, I'm going to hand the league notes to you.
Of course.
And things kind of took an interesting turn around the league.
Yeah. So starting on the 26th here, Anderson Donaldson Sega. Donaldson issues a statement about his racist remark, apologizing. There was a mutual understanding. In the past, it had never been an issue. Things that we mentioned last week. I guess he's just continuing to go with that. So anyways, issued that apology. The Yankees and the Rays denounce gun violence. The teams halt their social media coverage of their game to bring attention to facts about gun violence in America. On the 27th here, Giants manager to skip anthem. Gabe Kapler says that he will protest during the national anthem until I feel better about the direction of our country. Mets manager Buck Showalter says he supports his action and would support his players if they did the same. Tony La Russa disagrees, calling his action inappropriate. So it'll be interesting to see how the dominoes fall here after that.
Yeah, it's been interesting. I mean, I don't want to just move on from the Anderson and Donaldson stuff.
Yeah.
I'm hoping that situation's been resolved and moved on from, because that was just inappropriate all the ways around. But with what's happened, obviously this is not our field. We're sports, we do sports.
Yeah.
But with what's happened, it's been interesting to see not only in Major League Baseball, but what the different leagues around the country have done to bring more attention to that and kind of put that at the forefront. So it was interesting because I was on Twitter that day when the Yankees and Rays were doing that. Nothing about the game, just information about gun violence, just statistics about it, which was really interesting to see. So
I did see some similar situations where some people on social media were apologizing before they started just, sending out tweets about the sport, that they had to continue to do that. So it is interesting to see how some people what they're doing to show their support for that. Was there anything else you wanted to say? Close it out?
No. So we'll finish up here with our Mariners sitting at a 20-28 record at the moment, fourth in the American League West. They will head on the road now for a 9-game road trip as they take on the Baltimore Orioles May 31st through June 2nd. Those are all 4:05 p.m. Pacific time starts, and then traveling down to play. I put the wrong graphic in there. The Texas Rangers from June 3rd through 5th. The third at a 5:05 p.m. start. The fourth at a 1:05, and a fifth at 11:35 a.m. So another, again, just win series.